Hello and welcome to the Big Bang Theory podcast where no one's giddy and no one's excited. I'm here. My name's John. I'm here with my friend and colleague Dan.
Hello. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm very rarely giddy, but
Sometimes excited?
definitely not now. Yeah, not really. Very rarely.
What you need is to pay attention to your body language, an important topic for the podcast, which we'll come on to later.
Oh, okay. Yeah, cool. Look forward to that.
I've got some top tips from an esteemed
Expert, I'd say.
An esteemed expert.
Right.
Anyway, Exeter City beaten 1-0 at home against Cheltenham Town with a last gasp winner. It was in the wind and the rain and the sleet and the snow almost.
And the sun.
And the sun, which was probably our downfall. What do you want to say about it, Daniel?
Well, I mean, what can you say?
It was 0-0 for a very long time.
Yeah.
Very little happened in the first half, I'd say. Two teams sizing themselves up, sizing each other up.
Yeah. That's about right. It was a bit of a kind of stalemate first half.
City defended well.
Yeah. Yeah, we did, yeah. They were probably the better team slightly first half, I'd say. They definitely started the kind of more assertive of the two teams, weren't they?
Yep.
You know,
Yeah, first 10 or so they were looking quite dangerous.
and then it looked like, maybe we won't get... Because I was a bit worried to begin with, I mean, it turned out rightly, but but we kind of got back into it a bit, and we kind of we didn't look less like we were going to get trounced.
No.
Not that they had a huge amount of chances, it's just that they were kind of all over it for the first few minutes. But yeah, half time, they made a change at half time, didn't they?
They did, yeah. Yeah.
And that they brought on that guy Alfie May, and he looked lively, didn't he? And I think sort of pick them up a bit.
Yeah, he's
Beginning
more
of
of
the
an
second
Alfie
half.
Will, isn't he?
Well, he didn't.
No,
But,
no.
Yeah,
Alfie might.
I take your point. And then we had a few chances.
Well, I think second half we had the better of it, didn't we? Certainly the first.
I think we definitely had the better of the chances,
Yeah.
So lineup-wise, it's the same as last week and the week before, apart from it's Sparks in for Page, and it's Caprice in for Gary Wilmot.
Yes.
And I thought you said, we're not going to go for it then. We've gone back to the old 5-3-2 kind of formation thing. Yep. And I thought, oh no, that's not what we're doing here. It looked like to me like we're just going. Caprice is coming in on the right of midfield. It's still 4-4-2. Do you know what I mean they're just direct swaps? But I don't think it was it? It was a 5. It was Key was sort of the third centre back.
Yeah, with the kind of permission to go on, wasn't he?
But he didn't really get... I mean, it wasn't by no means that he was anywhere near the same areas of the pitch he has been in the last couple of games. I mean, he didn't bomb down that right wing once, but then if you're a centre-back, why would you? But I just thought it was on that... I was a bit disappointed, but I thought it's still 4-4-2, but we've gone with Caprice and Sparks over Page and Wilmot.
Yeah.
Because
They've
Caprice had nothing down that right-hand side. He couldn't get past. I think he was brought in to kind of, be a bit careful down that side because of that Hussey guy they've got, their kind of left wing back, and to maybe kind of be a bit stronger, and maybe we could double up on him because he's a bit of a threat, isn't he?
Yeah.
But essentially, when we were attacking, Caprice couldn't get past him.
No, he couldn't.
And he tried a few times, and you think when you've had... Wilmot and Key down that, both playing that, working their way down that right-hand side in the 4-4-2 last few weeks so effectively. Josh Key absolutely marauding.
Yeah.
Skinning anyone who dared get in his way. And then, stick him at centre-back, this one. I don't know, it's just a bit disappointing, isn't it?
Yeah, it was. I think it was what we all
And ultimately,
dreaded.
we nearly got the 0-0.
Yeah.
We almost nearly could have nicked it. So I'm not saying it's necessarily, it wasn't like a huge catastrophe, but at the end of the day, we lost.
Yeah.
Didn't we?
Yeah.
And we lost having been cautious too.
Yeah, that's right. So, about 10 minutes from the end, we had a few chances, didn't we? Wilmot was through on goal. That was with 5 minutes to go. That was our best chance.
I think maybe the Taylor one might. They were both about as good as each other, possibly. The Taylor one's first, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
So a couple of times we got in behind second half. First one, unbelievable pass from Collins, isn't it?
Yeah.
You see Taylor make the run before. I remember at the time thinking, and I was like, he'll never pick him out. And he does perfectly. And Taylor takes it so well.
Yeah.
And it falls down. You think perfect, and it's an angle, but misses the target, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And then I think he had a few over the top, like harder ones than that, Taylor. But that was a big chance.
Yeah.
You should test the keeper there, but it's.
I mean, there's a few things to say out there. I think the wind and the rain was insane.
Oh, it's mad weather, yeah.
So there's some allowances made for that, particularly some of the different, not that chance particularly, but some of the other shots and some of the other passing. I also thought that our younger players looked either nervous or unsure of the conditions or unconfident perhaps of where they were supposed to be on occasion. So Joel Randall really wasn't very good. Often caught offside.
Well, he's playing out of position.
I mean, I realise that.
Essentially, he's asked him to go. You're playing up front with Bowman now.
Yeah,
he hasn't done that all season.
Yeah, so it's no wonder the offsides were happening, really.
And he was offside a lot, wasn't he? Yeah, but he's not used to playing there.
No.
But then also Matt Jay, it just completely nullified. And I'm not necessarily blaming Jay because I don't think it's necessarily his fault because Cheltenham packed the midfield. Essentially, just he was just followed around the whole game, like most of the game. He had no chance of getting on the ball. He had to come a lot deeper.
And obviously Jay's name is on all the lists. Like you just look up best player in League 2 or whatever, and Matt Jay's name appears because of all the goals.
Yeah, of course.
So that's always going to happen.
He's our top goal scorer too.
Yes, that's right. Whereas with the 4-4-2 system, as we know, because Bowman can be so effective at holding up the ball and also scoring and appearing in the right place.
None of that going on, by the way.
No, of course, none of that going on because we changed the system. I think Jay was always going to be followed around, whether we played the 4-4-2, whether we played the 3-5-2. They know what Bowman is, but Bowman's the kind of player that you can't actually stop that easily.
Well, that's the thing. You got him, then you've also got. Then you have Randall and Wilmot on the wings, and Collins too. And I think
and Taylor as well.
And who knows? Maybe we would have got battered if we'd played that formation, and maybe if. One of those, if Wilmot had just managed to beat the keeper or Taylor had hit the target, we'd be talking very, very differently about this now. And we'd be saying, Matt Taylor got it spot on.
Yeah.
But ultimately, that didn't happen. And I don't know. You just think back to that Northampton game last year where we didn't play. We tried to match them. We tried to see if we could stop what they were doing.
Yeah.
And I just think the last couple of games have just shown, surely, I know it's against a weaker team, that just do what we do. And we conceded a goal from a long throw against a physical team. That'll happen. We're a small team who aren't physical and we're not good in the air.
And we're young.
And they're young. So those, in a way, you look at that throw and you think there's not a huge amount they could have done about it. Yeah, maybe there's a few of them they could have got in the way of it, but ultimately, given enough chances, that team against our team, one of those sort of high balls will end up in a goal eventually. But the way you counter that is by you do what you can do well.
Which, of course, is what we did at Cheltenham's place back at Christmas. And I know we lost, but we shouldn't have lost because that was some silly mistakes. So you think, well, actually, City's progress this year has been outscoring teams and, I know like you say, I know we almost held on for a 0-0. I know we could have won it with a 1-0, but in a sense, you're playing the chances too readily there.
I think it's like overthinking, maybe, isn't it? A bit,
maybe.
Cheltenham just go and do their thing. They're not going like, right, Exeter are this kind of team. Let's try and match up and then play them at their game,
No, they're not thinking, Anderson's in goal, he's a better goalkeeper, we won't do the long throws. They're thinking, no, our long throws are effective.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens.
It feels like we're second-guessing teams and they're not second-guessing us.
Yeah. Even though we're a threat. It's just, I think, when you get to the Premier League or you get to the Champions League or whatever, and it's so tightly matched and your players are so good and so effective, and your pitches are of such high quality, you kind of really remove all these other factors, don't you? Like, they don't really have to worry about the wind at the Etihad because it's so tall that, the wind doesn't get in. You don't really have to worry about the ball getting stuck in the sand at Old Trafford, but, blah, blah, blah. So then you get to a point where you're like, well, that literally matches up. So we are going to have to do something different to be the team that gets that one goal. That's how those games go. League Two, there's so many other factors. It's probably better, like you've just said, and like we've been saying all season. We know that it works with Bowman and Jay and Randall and Wilmot and Taylor and Collins. We know it does, and we know that our defence has come into form, and we know that Anderson is a real gift to that defence.
Yeah, it slightly feels like we weren't trusting them.
We weren't trusting the things we'd learned over the past 2 months, both of successes and failures. So that's the disappointment, I think. And I think the players will be disappointed because I don't think they got to play their natural game.
Yeah, and ultimately we've lost, haven't we? So if we had, and we've lost, like I said earlier, like playing cautiously and trying to play the opposition, trying to play the occasion. Right, this is the occasion. We're doing this today, rather than I just don't see. I don't know. Putting Joel Randall up front,
No,
in the middle
right.
alongside Bowman. What did Bowman? Bowman did nothing yesterday. I don't blame him.
No, I think
It was sort of like everything that we were doing well in the last couple of games. It was like the instruction was to not do that. We couldn't get Josh Key down the right hand side because he's playing centre back. We can't get Matt Jay on the ball because he's playing deep in midfield and he's marked.
Yeah, I think that's the disappointment, isn't it? And
If we lost 3-0, having played the in the same way as we've been playing the last few times, it's the same result in it. But at least I don't know. Maybe what would we be saying then?
well, I think we don't often lose 3-0. That's the thing, because our system of 4-4-2, main striker that holds up, little striker that can do all sorts of magic things, two wingers who are really lively and fast and can make good balls into the box. 3-0 hasn't happened. That hasn't been a result this year. Our results have either been disappointing change of formation, loss, really going for it and making silly mistakes, loss, Cheltenham away, for example, or a good display that generally results in positive results, or at least we got 3 and they got 4. I
was so at the end of that game. I mean, it was kind of a nothing game, really. Wasn't it? A bit frustrating, but I'm so deflated at the end of it. I was just like, when it gets kind of snatched away at the end,
yeah,
and then you got time to think back and go like, oh, well, that was just, I don't know.
There were essentially no highlights, and I thought it was really interesting in commentary when Graham Kirk, who I really trust as a co-commentator, actually, and they were like, man of the match, who stood out for you. And he really had to think.
Well, I'll tell you actually what he didn't. That's the other guy, I don't know, Conway, whatever he's called.
Yeah, Conway.
He didn't say man of the match, though, did he?
No.
He said, who's your player of the day?
Yeah, it's another way of saying it.
I mean, that just reminds me of like in Friends when Joey's got his thesaurus at 2 full-sized aortic pumps. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just called, it's called man of the match.
Yeah.
Who was your human of the occasion?
Yeah.
It's already got a name. It's called man of the match.
Colleague on the pitch.
Player of the day.
Well, anyway, he couldn't really, and he had to go for Hartridge.
I agree, and I thought the same thing when he was asked the question. I was like, who would mine be? I have no idea.
No, because it's not like Anderson even had to do much.
He made one good save.
Yeah, and that was a good save. But normally when you're scraping around for who's played well, if it's a complete disaster, you're like, don't know. This kid looked good.
Or you go like, I don't know, Hartridge. But then, can you give it to Hartridge because we shipped a goal last minute to a long throw and he's one of the centre backs.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I don't know.
I think you're right. It was a nothing performance. Not in terms of like boring, although it was pretty dull. Well, no, it wasn't. I was on the edge of my seat, but nothing in terms of what did we do well.
There was just all the things that we had chances, and it could have been different if it's fine margins, this thing, but there was none of the kind of good things. Where was the side that have played the last couple of weeks and played such good football and been so effective? We weren't playing that way, so we couldn't have seen it.
No, that's right.
Where was the link up of Page and Randall had just started to look good. We talked about how they looked like they didn't know each other in the Walsall game. And then, they had 2 more games after that. Suddenly they're looking like they're linking up really well in that together. And then it's like, no, pull them. Pull Page. Fair enough. we've got a lot of games. Lewis Page is made out of polystyrene. That I get that. There's sometimes you have to make changes. The Caprice one clearly was a tactical one, and it was a mistake, wasn't it?
Yeah, surely. I think you're right about Page. Like he's fairly fragile, but also, didn't we make the change accordingly? Because in the game before, he came off after an hour when the game was, looking well under control. So he had only 60 minutes on the Tuesday. Why did we? I mean, Taylor obviously.
Well, he came on yesterday as well.
Yeah. So, like we've said before, set out to win, especially at home.
Set out to win at home, yeah.
And
against Cambridge, they're not that good.
We're not playing Manchester City.
They got beat 3-1 last week.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's not Man City. It's not like Cambridge have been runaway lead. Cheltenham have been runaway leaders of this league, and they're clearly too good, and they've got this incredible team.
No, we scored 3 against them at Christmas, and they lost the week before.
I don't know. And one of the things that Kirky kept saying, which and he's a bit of a, he does like a cliche, doesn't he? But then what co-commentator doesn't, I suppose. But he kept saying the thing of we're giving him too much respect, which not so much from him, but it does annoy me every time. If you ever go to Exeter game, and you're standing. Or wherever you're at the game, and we happen to be playing a bigger side.
Yeah.
Like if there's an FA Cup game or any time when there's a team who are clearly the bigger side, you will always hear someone say, and they'll probably say it more than once, "We're giving him too much respect." And I say, "Shut up!" Even if it's true, it's just like I don't know. Where have you learned that?
Anyway. Yeah, football cliches, I suppose. Well,
but in a way, yesterday it did kind of apply in that case, didn't it? Because it's just Cheltenham.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know. And what we've done there is let them push up the league.
If you're going to play... Sorry, to interrupt, but if you're going to do that, why play Jay? Why not put Nigel in there?
Well, yeah. Yeah.
A bit more kind of like of a physical presence in the middle. A bit of height.
Agreed. It's not a thing I really understand. And Taylor's a defender. I get the clean... And he was a goalkeeper, so I get the clean sheets are on his agenda. But that's not all there is to football. And we know that we're better when we can go forward and do it well.
Yeah. We've scored more goals than anyone,
Yeah. So that was that. City lost 1-0. There's now not a Tuesday night game.
I don't know what to do with myself now.
Tuesday night?
This has really upset my week.
Oh dear.
What am I going to do?
I think, there's other football on.
I've gone off other football.
Fair enough. Have a nice bar.
No, I'll probably will just watch another football match. But it's not quite the same, is it?
No, it's not. It's not quite the same at all. At least this time you get to keep your £10 and you won't be driven to a wild rage.
True. Yeah. True. That is true. If we're allowed outside, I'd just go to the pub or something. But or to do something else. But it's sort of like both. It's like we're still in lockdown and you can't watch the. But anyway.
Indeed.
So we're going to be another game behind. I know this is just like impossible scheduling, but we still haven't made up any ground. So we're now going to be, those games in hand. So we're now going to be 3 games behind most.
Yeah, and more teams. Behind some. Yeah, that's right.
Which is, I don't know if that's a good thing or not.
We'll talk about it in a minute, but after this, it goes just twice a week, every week.
Yeah.
For a very long time. Okay, well, more of that in a second. Welcome back, where Exeter City currently sit 8th in the league. As Dan's alluded to, will be losing games left, right and centre over the next few weeks. So Cheltenham are top, 62 points. Cambridge is second, 61, but they've played 36 games. Forest Green played 34, 61. Newport played 34, 57. Tranmere played 33, 57. Bolton played 35, 57. Morecambe played 35, 56. That's the playoffs. And then Exeter City in 8th played 33, 53. Most other teams play a game this Tuesday, which means that, we'll be 3 or 4. 3 or 5 games behind the teams above us.
Wow.
Salford below us will... Salford and Crawley, who are 3 points behind us, won't go above us unless they win, unless they're absolute barnstormers. But we will have a game in hand over them, both.
Right.
So it's close. And after that, it really tails off. So Carlisle are down there, and they've got a lot of games in hand, but they're not playing especially well. Everyone else won't catch. So really, it's City, Salford, Crawley, plus the teams above us for playoffs. And then maybe autos. And now I know we said, the Cheltenham game's the last chance at autos. It's not, but obviously the gap gets bigger all the time. And more importantly, there are a lot more teams.
I think we said about the Cheltenham and the Tranmere game.
Okay, fair enough.
Not to. Well, maybe we did. I'm not going to listen back. I doubt anyone else is. So, but I think pretty sure that's what we said.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I'll stick by that. If we get battered or just lose against Tranmere, then I'd say that's. I mean, it's not impossible, but you're looking unlikely there because that's 2 rivals, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we now, I think, need a win. I think we need the win for the confidence boost. I think to win 2 in a row, but against kind of, you know, lesser opposition, and then to lose against 2 direct competitors, and to be honest, competition for playoffs probably rather than automatic maybe.
Yeah.
No, sorry. I mean, whatever. But then I think that's a big confidence blow, and then I don't know where you go from there.
No, that I suppose that's as much part of it as anything, isn't it? Like, we've not always, and I think this is the manager as much as the players, we've not always had full confidence in what we're trying to do. When we look like we know what we're doing, we look excellent. When we're not sure if we should be doing something or not sure in what we're being asked to do or whatever, then it slipped, hasn't it? I think those have been our bigger problems than perhaps even our performances.
Yeah.
Or the standard of our players or whatever. So that's the lie of the land. The lay of the land? The lie of the land. What's the phrase?
It's the lay of the land.
That's the lay of the land.
So next we play Tranmere.
Yeah, so Saturday. So Tranmere have got a game, I think, on Wednesday because they were involved. It's very complicated. But Tranmere yesterday got beaten by Sunderland in the 2020-2021 Papa John's Trophy.
Yes.
The day before...
It wasn't even called that then, so...
No, that was still leasing.com back then, right?
Right, yeah.
Then the day before that, Salford...
Oh, no, sorry. The one you're talking about is the Papa John's.
Yes.
The day before, right. Salford versus...
Portsmouth. Yeah.
That's the leasing.com.
That's trophy. Right. Well, they got changed to Papa John's halfway through. Right. As no one was leasing things anymore, because what are you going to lease? Especially cars when you can't go anywhere. But everyone was buying Papa John's, because what are you going to eat when you're stuck at home? Anyway, Salford beat Portsmouth. They had the trophy for a day. They then handed it over to whoever beat Tranmere, who I've now forgotten, Sunderland, who... now have that trophy. None of that matters except to tell you that Tranmere still got to play this week, so they're going to be knackered come Saturday.
Right. Wait, they're playing on Wednesday?
I believe so.
So what's going on with that then?
Well, because they can't play Tuesday because they played on Sunday.
Well, why can't we play this Wednesday then?
I guess there's no way of the things fitting together, I guess.
Right, it doesn't make any sense to me at all.
Tranmere are playing Grimsby on Wednesday.
Okay.
So they're going to do Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday, and we're the Saturday team. So we got to take it to them.
Yeah, we beat them 5-0 earlier in the season as well. Fair enough, they've turned things around. They've obviously been good second half of this season. But if we set up like that again, if we go this 5... Where it's at home, right?
Not sure.
No, it's away.
It's away.
Either way, if we set up this 5-3-2, players playing out of position, defensive kind of... I'm going to be really disappointed.
Yeah, me too. It is away, you're correct. And it's another 3:00. So...
I can't remember that game, but I bet that we didn't set up defensively in the reverse fixture when we beat them 5-0.
No, we certainly did not. So that's kind of how that goes. And then we play, from then on, Tuesday, Saturday. So then the following Tuesday is away to Oldham.
Yeah.
Recently lost their manager. We're 2-0 up on Saturday against Cambridge. Everything was looking rosy at one point on Saturday, wasn't it?
And they lost 4-2.
Lost 4-2. So again, Cambridge, like us, like scoring goals. We've got to go for that as well.
That's a given. I thoroughly expect us to well, at this point, to be, beating teams like Oldham.
Yeah.
And I trust, it's easy enough to set up attacking against a team like that who are shipping goals and down the bottom of the league and can't win.
Indeed.
But that is you need to have the conviction of your beliefs to take it to the teams that are around you.
Then we have to take it to Salford City. That's the following Saturday, and then I think we've got the next. We've got the next weekdays off. Although I can't confirm for sure.
What? How can we?
I don't know.
How long's this season going on for?
No one's playing a game that week, and I don't know why. So yeah, that's that. I think Salford obviously is another big one. We've got so many big ones. That's the problem.
This is where it falls apart again.
Problem is, it doesn't really fall apart, does it? There've been very few seasons with Exeter City where it's entirely fallen apart.
No, all I mean is the promotion, is the automatic promotion push. Is it already? It's probably already fallen apart. But like earlier this season, we were looking pretty strong, and pretty pretty good for it. Not that we ever got too excited. I don't know. We've
got a bit of an attribute which goes back before Taylor, long before Taylor, of staggering over the line, and. We do. It's almost like often the playoff semi-final is our last push. That's the last thing we can manage, and then, how many Wembley finals has it been now? Where it's just been three in a row, isn't it? And you just think every time, like, goodness me, I can't. I don't know why, but that seems to be the.
Yeah, that's what we do, isn't it?
It's what we've done. So something has to be. I thought those two brilliant wins back at, last Tuesday and the Saturday before would really help us to push on. We were all hoping for it, weren't we? We were all hoping for it. Cheltenham.
Yeah, but as we said at the time, they weren't true tests, were they?
No, but it's just. I think it's attitude. I think in this league, attitude. No, I
totally agree with you, and I think that that's something we haven't had right for the last. I don't know how long, several years, going back quite a long way. It's almost a bit of an identity crisis. It's a bit in the fact that we've never really had a very strong kind of like identity in terms of the way we play. We're associated with playing nice football, but we're not a true, I wouldn't say that. So we're a kind of a true kind of just ball on the ground kind of team. We're not that at all. We're a bit of we haven't quite got that kind of like focus of a kind of like we're this kind of team, And I think maybe that's and also we've never been that strong mentally. It always comes to the occasions got to us in the biggest moments, hasn't it? Consistently.
Yeah, it's really interesting and. There's something to reference here, which is really interesting. So I don't know if you've seen it, listeners, but this week on the internet, on YouTube, Paul Tisdale, through someone else, released a video about body language.
Absolutely bizarre.
So bizarre.
Paul Tisdale, God love him, has, I assume, taken it on himself, or someone has asked him to put together some sort of series of like pieces to camera.
Yeah. On body language.
About body language.
And presentation, right? And this is his big thing, isn't it? Like,
he's
often said it throughout his career, hasn't he? Like, if I present in the right way, that's part of the battle won.
Yeah, always. Yeah, that's his thing. And he's there, speaking of presentation, as we've seen before, sat in front of his kind of like bookshelf.
Of leather-bound,
yeah, And all looking, everything just so, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? And like
a lot of mahogany wood, house plant or two.
It looks, and he looks great. But I feel a little bit with this on, like I've just the scales have finally fallen from my eyes.
Oh, really?
Because I've always let him off a bit, and I know he's a bit of,
a bit of a plonker.
No, yeah, or not really. I just got a high opinion of himself,
Yeah.
And in the past, why not? He's been a very successful man.
Yeah.
In terms of, not, not necessarily winning trophies, but he's been a professional footballer and a professional footballer manager. That's a successful person. I mean, whether you do well at it or not, it's a different thing. You've already succeeded by most people's standards. But yeah, some of the stuff he says is just a bit like, hang on, mate, do you not remember? Do you not remember a couple of things about body language? I can think of a couple, Paul, if you got a minute. One, Stevenage away.
Yep, giving us the old sign.
Giving it the wanker sign to your supporters. Do you remember that, Paul? How does that fit in exactly to this anthropology lecture? And then, playoff final. Again, the Coventry one, I think.
Yeah.
Or was it the Blackpool one? Can't remember. At the end of the game, sodded off down the tunnel.
That was Coventry, yeah.
Without, as soon as the whistle gone, disappeared, never to be seen again.
Yeah.
Thank
you were leaving the
very
club.
much.
So that's Dan's absolutely right to point out these perhaps very
kind of inconsistencies
in what he's saying, but he's very much in the video, and we already knew this. Like, it's better to look good. That's the important thing, right? Looking good. Like, I don't mean necessarily a jazzy jacket, although he obviously believes in that as well. But like, it's almost like what you're trying to do that's really important, as important, if not more important, than the outcome, right? So he's
on some levels. I totally understand that. I can't remember somebody said once that about bowling. 10-pin bowling.
Right, yeah.
That the real game is looking good.
Okay.
It's not about how many pins you knock down or how many points you get.
Yeah.
It's about how good you look doing it.
Right.
And so on that level, I kind of understand it, But I just think you don't necessarily... Has he been living that truth there, Paul,
And I just wonder, because obviously he's here a really long time and lots of people around him are still involved, who knows what the cause and effect was, but Tisdale was involved in a culture at Exeter City which was around those kind of ideas.
There's a reason we're still talking about him now.
Yeah, the culture's still
he
here.
He still looms large, doesn't he,
he does.
City?
He does. His bold bonce is like coming over the top of the John Lewis building, and, we still think about him a lot. And I just wonder if at times there is a mindset at Exeter City of we do it properly. We do it whatever that means. That's kind of the coverall term for like when we haven't won stuff. Well, at least we've done it properly. So it's true to say that we don't have some oil-rich billionaire funding us. We're doing something a different way. Subtext: we're doing it properly, right? Or we haven't cheated our way to the top. Like, we're not throwing bungs at agents, or we're not intimidating referees, right? We've done it properly. I think that's kind of
or even to a lesser extent, just on the pitch, the way we play.
Exactly. Yeah. So we're trying to score a nice goal rather than any old goal, right? So
there's less dark arts involved, probably. I mean, obviously, Jake Taylor buys a few free kicks, and Bowman doesn't mind elbowing someone in the face once in a while. But on the whole, we're fairly, fair play-y.
Yeah. Well, that's, and I think that's fading actually, but. I still think there's that kind of culture, and so I don't think, because Matt Taylor obviously, it's a very pressurised job being a manager. You got to keep the players happy, you got to keep the supporters happy, and you got to keep the board of directors happy. Now at a normal club, so poor old Chris Wilder's just been sacked, right? Because he couldn't keep the chairman happy. The supporters still love him, right? At Exeter City, you got to keep those same three groups of people happy, but the board have got this attitude because they don't have their own money invested in it. I know all those people have invested a lot of time and money, but not in the same way that an oil-rich tycoon has. I still think there's an attitude of, well, at least we're doing it properly. Matt Taylor's a good lad. He's doing it properly. Instead of... I'm by no means saying he should be sacked at all, but I do wonder, on occasions, in a supportive, helpful way, they're like, come on, Matt, shouldn't we be playing a bit... It's all right to push these lads hard and to go for something here. And are they having those kind of meetings and those kind of conversations, especially in a season where there have been essentially no supporters, where they're like, we'd really like to go up this year, Matt. We'd really like you to push for that.
I think he's in a position where he's come into a team which have had this expectation of promotion for a few years, and we've come so close before him, and he's come straight in, first managerial position, into this kind of thing of like, this is the narrative, we're trying to get promoted, you know? So he's never had the kind of like, so in a way, is there a kind of like, as a kind of like a fear of failure in not getting promoted, you know, but he's only got a match nearly to be the same as the guy before him, pretty much, even though Paul Tisdale obviously did achieve things and successes. In fact, our most successful ever in the history of the club was under Paul Tisdale, you know. But
that's a long time ago.
In recent history, that's the thing he has to match. So if we fall slightly short, it's kind of like, you know, if he bets the barn on it, then is that the phrase? Bets the farm.
Yeah.
If he bets the farm on it and goes for it,
which also includes a barn,
and fails spectacularly, then it's like, you know, that's his reputation on the line. I don't know what I'm trying to say here, really, but. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
I do.
He's got to keep up that kind of thing. And in a way, if you just play it safe and kind of go for, you know, the tight, kind of, we nearly did it there, just like trying to edge over the line, rather than go like hell for leather.
Yeah.
And then maybe kind of, you know, get embarrassed.
Yeah, I get that. But I also think, I don't think going hell for leather and not letting Lewis Page play 2 games in a row, you know, I think that would be the helpful middle ground.
Yeah.
I think he's been really good. I think, like you said, it's his first managerial position, and he's matched Tisdale, who's like a sought after, I'm doing air quotes here, but he's a sought after, not just a public speaker, but also a football manager. And Taylor's done as well as him.
Well, that's no.
In his last, in the second phase of his managerial career at City.
Yeah. Let's not take anything away from Paul Tisdale, like you said.
No, I'm not.
Presided over our most successful period.
But the second half of his management
recent years,
Taylor's matched that. I would just like to see a bit more on him from all of them. I'm not saying he's not trying to win, because obviously he is, but just a bit more like, we've created this academy that's brought in all these incredibly exciting players. Give them a bit of a free rein. Like,
let them loose.
Let them loose,
Matt.
Because I think Taylor would. I think we've seen on occasions he's really up for that. And obviously we've scored all these mad goals, you know, and 4-0 against Argyle and all that stuff. He gets that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I agree. And I don't think it's kind of like... I just think we need to... I don't know. It's easier for us to say, is it, because we've not got as much on the line. There's nothing on the line for us, essentially, is there? Apart from, you know, being pleased or not. But it's not our job, is it? But,
no, it's not our job.
But I just think it would... I don't think it would do him as much damage as maybe he thinks it would.
No.
To lose, if we did lose... Like in that Cheltenham, the previous Cheltenham game.
That's right.
You know, I much prefer that.
Yeah.
Than I do losing 1-0 after essentially looked like, for large parts of the game, trying to draw 0-0.
And with that Cheltenham away game, of course, that wasn't Taylor's fault. Those were individual mistakes. Now, individual mistakes similarly happened in this game. We didn't clear that ball for the long throw. Wilmot didn't put that goal away. Taylor didn't put that goal away. Those are still individual mistakes. But again, like you said, you've put all your eggs in one basket, essentially, of thinking we'll get 2 or 3 chances. Now, we got 15 chances at Cheltenham away.
Yeah.
You know, because of that way we're playing.
I think, you know, and maybe this is naive as well, but what about, you know, half-time, we're 0-0.
Yeah.
Hit him with it then.
Yeah.
We never, ever change things at half-time. Never.
No.
You've gone half a game, you've gone 0-0. Just shock them half-time. Go out there and go like, right, we've switched it up.
Yeah.
You haven't even got to really change. You haven't got to even make a substitute. That team's set up. You've got the personnel you got on the pitch could fit either system.
Yeah.
Judging by the fact that I literally thought it was going to be the 4-4-2.
Yes.
You know, like,
yeah.
Do you want to just, you know, just for 10 minutes at the start of the second half, you know, like blindside them like that, you know?
Yeah, I know.
Could have worked, you know,
Could've
like,
worked.
but it's a bold move, you know? Like I said, it's easy for us to say we haven't got our jobs aren't on the line here, but I don't know if
he's done enough.
ultimately there's a trust that owns the football club. They served the notice on Paul Tisdale's contract. They are responsible for that. The last manager leaving.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not threatening Matt Taylor as a trust member. All I'm saying is you don't have to kind of be. Maybe it's projecting. You haven't got to worry about your own reputation by trying to
I think
edge over the line.
I think he's in a supportive environment. I think Exeter City is a supportive club, both in terms of the management structure and in terms of the supporters. Actually, most of us get it. We're never going to be like, and we wouldn't want to be like those teams that just Yeovil or whatever, you flit into the Championship and then you disappear into oblivion. We're much more about steady progress, but we've made the steady progress to get to this point, 10 games to the end of the season, with automatics are within our grasp.
Yeah, and given the circumstances that we're going to lose half these players next season, because that's always the case, and that's fine.
Give it a go. We've been saying it for a few weeks now, but I think that was what was missing on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fairly obvious, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Anyway, we'll see what happens at Tranmere Prenton Park. Me and Dan are off in a minute to do a YouTube video on, deportment, elocution, which I think we're, the right people for that.
Oration.
Yes. So we just need to set up the leather-bound books.
Well, no one's asked us to, but that never stopped anyone, did it?
Never stopped us.
In a way, we're much like Paul Tisdale in the fact that no one asked us to do his podcast either.
We are a bit like Paul Tisdale.
I've always sort of, tried to emulate the great man in all ways, really.
Is that why you're wearing that bowler hat and that tartan trousers at the minute?
That. Hey, do you line up Paul Tisdale's sort of fall from grace directly with the fall from grace from his friend Ray Kelvin of Ted Baker?
I forgot about that. No, Tisdale's fall from grace happened in advance of that, didn't it?
It did, but they're not miles away.
No, I mean it's probably better to be accused of doing a rude sign at your supporters than it is to be. I don't know if he was convicted, but certainly sacked for allegations of sexual assault.
Yeah.
So I'd rather be
hugging,
Tisdale.
Wasn't there?
What's that?
Lots of hugging.
Is that right?
I think it was sort of like,
inappropriate hugging.
Compulsory hugging.
Oh god, flipping heck! Hey. Not only are his clothes disgusting, so is his behaviour. Yeah, what I couldn't get over is that his real name's not Ted Baker.
No, but I mean, no one's going to buy a top that says Ray Kelvin on it, are they?
No, but don't call it a person's name.
Yeah, all right.
Call it Ray's Garms.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you need us for names for your companies, we are available. We are available. So thanks for listening. As always, we'll be back next week after the Tuesday night Oldham. I think currently managerless Oldham, although maybe they've got someone in now. So we'll see how we go. I would love 6 points in the bag, Dan. Make it so.
Me too. So we can do the other version of this podcast where we're really positive.
Wildly optimistic or completely pessimistic. I mean, you know what it's like, listeners. You support Exeter City, same as we do.
We're just trying to be there's no agenda here. We just turn up and start talking, don't we?
We do, yeah. It might not be obvious to you. I know it sounds well scripted. But that's what happens. You can get in touch with us in all the normal ways, of course. Email bigbankpod@gmail.com. Twitter @bigbankpod. And we're on Facebook as well as the Big Bank Theory Podcast. Thanks for listening as always. Don't forget to like us, review us, set us to subscribe on all your podcast providers. You'll be all set.
Yeah. I don't know. Email us something.
Email us something. Maybe you've got a piece of Ted Baker clothing that you can no longer wear because it made you hug people inappropriately.
Maybe you've got your own YouTube series on body language.
Oh, you'd be livid, wouldn't you? You're a body language expert. You've been slowly working your way up. You're really thinking about it in terms of football and what footballers can give to body language. And then Johnny Come Lately turns up in a suede hat and starts...
I'd love it if it doesn't seem like it's his own YouTube channel, but I really wish it was.
Do you think it is? Do you think it's an alias like Ted Baker?
No, maybe, but it looks like it's almost like on this channel of like motivational,
I mean, that's dangerous ground. We all saw what happened to David Brent when he started branching out to do motivational talk.
Yep. And celebrity appearances, is that next for Paul Tisdale
Definitely
turning up at
is next.
Mumbo Jumbos dressed as Austin Powers?
I'm really surprised he hasn't done more TV and podcasts like commentary. Aren't you?
I mean,
I thought he was all set for
doubt
that.
it's for lack of trying.
No, he's had to accept a YouTube channel for 2 minutes. Anyway, tell us if you spotted Tisdale in any unlikely places, because he's doing like management chat and stuff, isn't he? Like, I don't mean football. I mean
He's always done a bit of that, I think, hasn't he?
motivational. Yeah, no, but man management and that. If you want a
Business.
business.
If you've
chat,
signed up to Paul Tisdale's pyramid scheme, let us know.
you and 2 friends can tell us all about it. We'd like to know, because I'm sure there's many things yet to discover about the man, the mystery, the enigma.
I'm very excited for the journey, for Paul Tisdale's journey going forward.
Dan, should we be looking at ghostwriting a biography or something? Because no one's done it yet. There's a lot to say about him.
But I think you don't want to act too soon, because I think there's plenty more to come from the man.
Definitely is. I'm sorry, he was trying to go to America, wasn't he?
Was he?
Yeah, I believe so. And not just, Disneyland, get a photo with Goofy.
They'd love him over there.
They would love him over there.
They would absolutely love him. Be perfect for him.
Eccentric English gent.
Yeah, and his cravat and his bowler hat.
Yeah.
Pork pie hat, whatever
Pork pie hat, top hat. Cane, silver-topped cane.
Yeah.
That's his next stage, isn't it? You start looking like Jacob Rees-Mogg.
White tie on the touchline.
Yeah. Yeah, tails and everything. Surely.
Yeah. It would perfect from over there, and the expectations are pretty low, aren't they? Let's be honest. Quality's not great.
Do you know who's the main best ever scorer in MLS? I always think about this.
Darren Huckabee?
No. Weirder. Bradley Wright Phillips.
Oh yeah, I did know that, but he was one of the first to go over there, wasn't he?
I mean, he's been there a long time, but he was at Argyle.
Yeah.
And now he's the top ever scorer in America. I mean, it's a big country full of people who can play football. I know all the good ones leave, don't they? But yeah.
Bradley,
fair play to you. Thanks for listening. This has been the Big Bank Theory podcast. My name's John. I've been here with my friend and colleague Dan.
Cheers.
See you soon.